Portugal was by far the most popular golden visa that we would deal with, and in particular, most popular within the EU. But actually, there are numerous golden visas. I've been trying to highlight a few of them around the world for you guys over the last little while. And one in particular that has been arguably competitive with Portugal has been Greece. And it doesn't get so much attention, but they've seen a massive surge in applicants, probably largely since, the Portuguese program has announced that they're closing down and they're super backlogged. But second of all, because of the fact that they have made some recent announcements for upcoming changes. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Greek Golden Visa program and what you can understand about it, the pros and cons of it, whether it's right for you, and what the changes are, and whether that means you should act quickly or not. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell. Thank you for being with here. Welcome. I am Michael. Really appreciate you coming and checking out the channel. My sincere thank you to you. If you're interested at all in dealing with things that we deal with here, we are global tax specialists. So we specialize in helping you understand what happens when you cross borders and how to use the arbitrage between different countries to benefit yourself and your business, to lower your taxes, to optimize your payment processing, your banking, your security, your freedom, etc. Both in terms of you personally, where you can relocate to another country and take advantage of benefits there, as well as being in a situation where you relocate your business or part of your business to optimize. That is our area of focus, and we are probably some of the top in the world in that field. And we're very jurisdiction agnostic. We do customized solutions for you. So if these things are interesting to you, please reach out to us. We're happy to help you with this. Things like golden visas, things like the Greek golden visa, and we're happy to help you with all that. So let's dive in. Oh, if you want to do that, please book a call with me. You can do so by clicking the link below, which is www.calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer, or you can send a message through offshorecitizen.net. Where are we at with this Greek golden visa? So Greek golden visa, just really quick recap, similar to a Portuguese golden visa, similar to a Spanish golden visa, etc. For some context, the Spanish golden visa, 500,000 euros investment. The Portuguese golden visa, depending on what you're investing in, anything from 280 to 500,000 typically. At one point in time, there was some stuff in Latvia. The Latvian programs are not so attractive today. I will do some other videos on the Latvian programs so we can go through and cover that. I've talked a little bit about what there are in some other countries that are lesser known. This is kind of the main branded one, which is Greek. And I would say that Greek is more popular than something like, say, Cyprus. Cyprus also has a program where it's a 300,000 investment, which I've talked about, Regulation 6.2, it's called. But the problem there is, first of all, you can't just buy any properties. You tend to end up with an overpriced property, which is not really great. And then it's not a Schengen country. So, okay, great, you gain access to Cyprus, but you probably had enough access to Cyprus anyway for you in most people's situation. So unless you're actually planning on living there permanently, not necessarily that great. And if you are, maybe you want to buy different properties, then you would go with a category F or something, visa instead, some other one that's going to be less onerous for you, although not as fast. So we have kind of some of these things that we need to consider when we're looking at the competitive landscape. Now, Greece has had 250,000 euros. So 250,000 euros, basically the cheapest. Now, there is the program in Malta, which is indefinite residency. It's kind of a little bit different. And so in raw amount of money you put out, it would be less. However, and I've done a video on that, however, you're going to give away a lot more of that money. And so in raw fees, it's going to be more. So less money tied up, more money in terms of raw cost. So hence, this is really the most cost-effective option, I would say, for getting a Schengen golden visa. And so it entitles you to live unlimited amount of time in Greece with virtually no requirements to actually live there, which is attractive. But of course, if you stay there over a period of 6 months, then you're going to be a Greek tax resident, so then you have to deal with all the Greek stuff. They do have two different fairly favorable tax regimes, something called the Regulation 5, or Category 5 and 5A, and so I've done some videos as well about those. So there are some favorable rules where you can get 100,000 per year flat tax, which is on foreign income, which is, comparable to the Italian program. All right, that's something. But, it's fairly high unless you're a pretty high income earner. You can also get sort of a 50% deduction on your tax for a period of time. And there's also a lower rate for pensioners you're available. So maybe a little bit less attractive for the average person than you would get in some place like Portugal, which is part of the reason Portugal's been more attractive. It is also maybe not as attractive as a place to live as some place like Italy, so that's one of the reasons it's been less attractive. Arguably, people prefer Portugal to Greece, but there's trade-offs, right? So we're going to talk about the Greek program because there's some changes that are coming in. So 250,000 euros, pretty reasonable. I mean, you can buy a property, 250,000 euros, great. Now, what's the problem with this? Well, the first problem is it's a very bureaucratic country, okay? So the bureaucracy around property purchase and everything involved in maintaining that, et cetera, this is part of the reason why Greece is frankly kind of a mess. It is the lowest real estate prices compared to the prices they were 10 years ago. So essentially, if we look kind of post-2008 financial collapse, prices are way down in Greece compared to what they were still, even after all that time. Almost all the places are up and up by quite a bit. Italy is another one that's lagging, which might make it attractive or not, but also suffers from similar regulatory issues in terms of kind of bureaucracy and nonsense dealing with having a property there. So that's like one of the main reasons. The second reason, aside from the taxes, that it has been less attractive for a certain class of people is because you're in a situation where it basically doesn't lead to citizenship. In theory, you can get citizenship living in Greece for 7 years. And frankly, when I've spent time in Greece, people who move to Greece often love it and they spend lots of time there. I think it's, for a certain type of people, you get immersed into this culture which is kind of easygoing, right? I remember meeting people who had lived there for the last 17 years who are foreigners, and they're like, oh, like the pace of life, their attitude towards life, et cetera. I just love it. I feel really great here. So a lot of people do go to Greece and do like that culture, which is, again, if it's for you, perfect. If it's not for you, less perfect. If you're in a mode where you're building business, et cetera, maybe not so attractive. But if on the other hand, you wanted a holiday home and you wanted easy access to the Schengen zone and you're from an area that doesn't normally have Schengen access, so let's say, for example, you're from India and you don't just have Schengen visa access, or even if you're from Turkey or other parts of the Middle East or Africa, et cetera, and you're thinking, well, I'd like to be able to have a home in someplace like Greece, and I'd like to be able to go there during the summer, and I don't want to have to get visas every time. Well, you could get a golden visa, and really easy to maintain, et cetera. So that would be an attractive path for you. It also opens up the fact that then you have visa-free access to the other places in the Schengen zone. We've had kind of some discussion in some of the comments on some of our other videos where people will point out, well, you can't go and live in those countries. Yes, that's true. You can't, having a golden visa in Greece does not give you the right to live in other parts of the Schengen zone, but it does give you the ability to travel to other places. And so if you're somebody who's thinking, well, I'd like to go and spend part of the year at my home and I'd like to travel to some of these other sites, great. That would be a perfectly workable option. I was talking to a business partner over the last little while. We've been, there's 3 of us, and we've been looking at kind of places to buy villas or something in Europe. And so we were throwing around, well, do you go for Croatia? Do you go for Montenegro? Do you go for Italy? Do you go for south of France? Do you go for Spain? Do you go for Greece? And we're kind of comparing these. So now, if you're an EU citizen, it doesn't really make that big a difference. You can't get a golden visa then anyway. But if you're not an EU citizen, I mean, the lifestyle benefit might be there regardless. And so that's something to consider. The change that's coming in is they're raising the price in 4 key areas, which of course are the high demand areas, which are Athens, Thessaloniki, Santorini, and Mykonos, from 250,000 to 500,000. Okay. Now, to be fair, maybe you're in a situation where you're going to go and you're going to pay more than that for a property anyway, and so it doesn't really make that big a difference for you. However, if you're not in that situation where you're thinking, well, I'd like an inexpensive investment, and to be fair, most of the places, like if you were to go and look at properties in some place like Mykonos, they're pretty expensive, right? It's not a really cheap part of the country. There's a lot of other places that are much, much cheaper. In fact, most of the other places are much cheaper. Whether they're as attractive to you, that's a matter of personal taste. But if you were interested in being in those areas, you'd want to act fast to get in before the changes come into effect and get a property in Mykonos and Santorini, in Athens, in Thessaloniki, and do that for 250 grand. Otherwise, if you're okay with 500 grand, that's perfectly fine as well. Just be aware that in order to qualify for citizenship, so you have to live there for 7 years and like actually live there. So you're not like having the residency permit. It's unlike the situation in Portugal where you could basically have the residency and renew it and potentially get citizenship. That's not the case in Greece. You actually physically have to spend time, be a full-time resident there. That doesn't mean all year round, but 6 months a year. You have to integrate, and even then they don't like to give their citizenship out. So it's not an easy path to citizenship. It's not impossible, it is possible, but not an easy path to citizenship. So you should be aware of this going in. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Put them in the comments below. Reach out to us. Check out some of our other videos. We've got, we'll put up some of them that you can go and check out related to the Greek tax program, some of the other golden visas, situations for tax programs in Italy. I'm going to, over the next while, be continuing to create a bunch of videos for you guys on different golden visas that most people aren't talking about, they're not aware of. And so stay tuned for those, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next video.